Hey everyone, I'm Yenitza Munoz and welcome to Rebel Influencer. Now this episode of Hidden Millions of Rebel Influencer, we're going to be talking to my good friend Charlie. You can already see her on the screen. Hello. Thank you so much
Hi, honey.
for being on.
How are you? Thank you for having me.
Well, I know you're a busy girl. I know this is a very casual interview, but I had to squeeze you in, and I'm really proud of you. You know, you've had such an amazing career, from being a dancer on LMFAO to being on Wild and Out, and now you even have your own shop called Homegirl Hookup, and this is on Etsy, so you're extremely busy all the time. So everyone that's watching, I literally had to squeeze her in. You know, with being that you're in LA and I'm in the OC, it's just hard to get even studio hours together. So video, Zoom, it really helps a lot.
Absolutely. Thank goodness for the age of technology that we're in.
Yeah. And you know, that's the whole point of this podcast too, is like being with the era that we're in with social media. You know, you have your shop on Etsy, you know, you have a social media presence, you have so much experience in the entertainment industry, and you've put it all together, and you're your own entrepreneur. You know, you're able to have your own schedule, you make a great income with, and you get to like make your own rules. And you know, as little as even like 5 years ago, this whole idea of like drop shipping, Etsy, or like social media to where it is today, how Instagram has exploded. Now there's TikTok. And, you know, if we were to be talking about the opportunities that are given today, 5 years ago, people would be like, oh, it doesn't make sense. Or what do you mean?
Right.
I haven't heard of it. You know, with YouTube especially, I remember when YouTube started coming around, people would have like YouTube shows, and you would talk about a YouTube show. Everyone's like, oh, amateur, oh, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
YouTube is it. Like, we watch movies on YouTube, we watch podcasts. It's just streaming is very important, and especially for making an income. So with this episode, I want to start with like how you started with LMFAO, and then how it went to Wild and Out, and then to your own store, Homegirl Hookup Shop on Etsy, and you're also a host on a YouTube channel as well.
Yeah. Oh man, my story is pretty special in my opinion, because strangely enough, it's all connected. None of these things are independent from each other. It was a domino effect. I think it started as early as middle school. Sky Blue and Red Foo are the two members of LMFAO, and I actually went to middle school with Sky Blue. So, you know, we're growing up, and he's rapping, he's doing his thing in school, and I think it's great, you know, and that was pretty much the end of it. This is during the days of MySpace. So 2008, I am at a rave and I'm sitting on the concrete and enjoying my life, listening to music, and somebody walks by and they call me by my legal name, like my government name. And I was like, I'm sorry, who is this? And it happened to be Sky. And so, if long story short, I figured out that they were in a group and they were making music. I'm in Miami Bitch was out. And so I started following them on social media. MySpace actually was how it started. And Twitter was starting to like take off at the time. So they were live streaming their events. They were doing really innovative stuff with social media, and that's how I kept up with them. And I started showing up to shows, and I simultaneously was dancing. And one day they happened to see me dancing at an event, and the opportunity to work for them came onto the table. I definitely can thank them for encouraging me and the rest of the artists that were performing with the group at the time to get serious about social media, because this is in, you know, the mid 2000s, and we were all using it, but it was definitely a personal thing. I feel like at the time, you know, you were just sharing the stuff you wanted to share with your friends and your family that followed you. And being encouraged to take it a little more seriously and try to look at social media as a way to share what I was doing professionally was definitely something that they pushed us to do. In the beginning, I was annoyed. I was like, I don't want to tweet and do all these Instagram posts and things like that. But once I got onto Instagram and started posting, I really enjoyed the idea of just sharing the experiences. And at the time, I was blessed with being able to tour with the group. So all of a sudden, I'm not just
world too.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got close to 50 countries under our belt. You know, I went through 3 passports, and it was this whirlwind experience that I never ever expected to be a part of. And I can genuinely say that YouTube was a huge reason why LMFAO did so well in the beginning, because their Party Rock Anthem music video became the most viewed music video on the internet at the time. So it was really like, again, everything that was happening to us for the first time. And it was almost shocking to watch how it was unfolding and realize like, oh, this is real. This is happening. Okay, now you need to take it seriously because this is your way that you're connecting with the world. So we were blessed to travel and to get our actual faces in front of people in other countries. And I can say that that's probably where the bulk of my growth came from on social media. Definitely can attribute it to the boys and the time working with them. And again, at that point, it was business, but I was coming to it from an amateur perspective because we didn't have any experience to work with. And slowly, as things transitioned and I moved on to the next phases of life, I started to realize how it is a business in and of itself. So in Japan, I'm out and about with the boys at an after party and we run into Nick Cannon. So Nick is DJing. We meet. It's a friendly conversation. Years later, I'm back at home and I don't even honestly recall how it happened, but the conversation came back up and I got reintroduced and he is the person who asked me to be on Wild 'N Out. Being a Wild 'N Out girl was quite an experience because for the first time in my life, someone's like, okay, so we're going to have you stand here and you're just going to laugh at the jokes and be pretty. I know you're going to pay me for this. So again, talking about how a few years ago, people didn't even realize that it was possible to make an income off of these type of things. Obviously acting, yes, but I never could have predicted that my adventures as a dancer, sharing them through social media would parlay into meeting, being introduced with the show. And that was a beautiful experience for me. Again, very much a whirlwind. You go in, it's like you look on TV and you watch them film you see a whole season, but we did it in days. And let's see, from there, I again saw another big pop in my social media growth. The tricky part for me was I wasn't really conscious of trying to grow the social media. It was kind of happening to me, which was a beautiful thing. But in retrospect, I think now I understand that people don't walk into it these days not knowing what they're doing. There's so much information out there. You can sit and watch YouTube videos. You can watch other influencers. You can learn really quickly how to climb the ladder. And again, for me, it was very unconscious. So I was like, when I got hit 50,000 on Instagram, it was shocking to me almost because I never really considered myself someone who was trying to be an influencer. I fell in love with music while I was with the boys. And when I came home from touring, decided to join a girl group. And that was when my experience with social media changed just a little bit, I think, because all of a sudden it wasn't about me sharing myself authentically, purely for the opportunity to share. Now it was me needing to present myself as a brand and as something I was trying to push and sell to people. But I'm a very genuine person and the authenticity is kind of just oozed out of me always. I do think that that's why I've had good organic growth with social media. People can see authenticity. They can smell something fake from a mile away. But at the same time, it gives me, it's what's my challenge because I'm not really interested in presenting myself some way just for the likes. And that's where I kind of started to butt heads with social media because as an artist, it wasn't about what I wanted anymore. It was about getting the likes, getting the follows. I can honestly say that my group was not turned down, but told numerous times by heads of multiple labels, we think you guys are amazing. You have all the photos, you have all the videos, you have all the music, everything is ready to go. You just need the followers. And that was hard for us. It was tragic. It was like shocking. It was like, what do you mean? We've done all this work all these years and we have everything ready to go. We just need followers. And this was right around the time that things were transitioning and people were starting to do stuff just for the attention. And that is another area for me where social media, where I'm like, I don't know, the motivation and to do things for social media has changed. And I feel that people feel a lot of pressure. And I think that, again, because I never set out to be an influencer, when I was young, we used the word role model. And that's what I viewed my influence on social media to be as I started making music. I was like, I don't know. I didn't really ask to be a role model.
Yeah. Like role model artist. But yeah, I know what you mean, where it's kind of like now the influencing, there's like a good aspect, and then there's just like, I question that other aspect. You know, like people are doing the craziest things for attention, staged things. Like there's one guy that I saw about maybe early year last year where he was jumping off a boat in the Bahamas to save a turtle, but it looked so staged where it looked like he's the one that flipped the turtle upside down. And it was really sad to see. You can kind of tell when things are very staged, when people really want to get likes, and it's just, there is a lot of weirdness going on for sure.
Yeah. And so I think that that's been one of the interesting things about social media, and not like the following exists for me. Now I've reached a plateau. There's a lot of interesting things that happen also because of the algorithms and all these other things. And the plateau was such a stab in the gut for me because I've never changed anything about what I do with my social media. But because I wasn't interested in kind of just pursuing the likes for likes sake, I think that I see a difference in it. But I can say that at the end of the day, I still sleep well because I have been asked to do things that I don't want to do on my social media before. And it's been a challenge to say no, because I know that if you're trying to grow, that's where the likes and stuff are. But it's been very important to me to maintain my integrity throughout the process, because once it's on the internet, it doesn't go away. And these are things I think a lot of young people don't necessarily think about. I think that watching the rise of things like TikTok has also been very interesting. Because again, people are making an entire living off of just creating content. I mean, these are, again, content creator. That's a title that didn't exist 10 years ago. So we are very much in a transitional phase. And I do think sometimes the young kids have a little bit of a leg up, because when you're young, your learning curve, it's a lot easier for you, you know? And
maybe they're still living at home with their parents, you know,
yep.
18 years old. And
yes.
then you get older, you just have so many more responsibilities where you're just like, you get home and you're tired, you know?
Yeah.
Nevertheless, there's so many different aspects, but I agree with what you're saying with a lot of things have changed. Now, if you go to LinkedIn, there's actually like job openings for social media careers, like somebody who
absolutely
social media or
creator,
video editor. There's like a whole new plateau of careers that have been created. But just like how there's a good in everything, there's always a bad. So sometimes people get a little eager and they might do things that are not going to better them, and it might also just hurt them in the future, because once it's on the internet, it's on the internet.
You know, the interesting thing for me is that I am very much the type of I pick up skills everywhere I've gone, right? I was dancing and that was beautiful. But meanwhile, while I was with LMFAO, I learned how to be their wardrobe coordinator. And I'm rhinestoning things, and I'm doing accessories and all this other kind of stuff. And then I get home from touring and I'm go dancing in the clubs and doing things in here and there. And the opportunity to become management in the nightclubs came across my plate. So I stepped up to that. And next thing I know, the nightclub is asking me, would you like to be the marketing director? And I'm like, marketing director? You know, I don't have a college degree. I was definitely a studious kid, but you know, I hit the ground running. I started working at 18 and I was off. And so these opportunities started to happen for me. And obviously I had learned through experience. And so I was like, sure, why not? You know? And so next thing I know, I'm the marketing director for a nightclub that hosts 1,600 people a night and is being broadcast on Kiss FM, you know, our local pop radio station, every Saturday night. And so it was really a blessing, because I didn't realize that all throughout my natural life and career, I was earning these skills that I was going to then be able to apply to becoming an entrepreneur and exploring anything and everything that I wanted to, because now I've had the social media marketing experience and I've been in front of the camera, so I'm comfortable with that. And all of these things just kind of bubbled up into me saying, you know what, it's time. I don't even know exactly how it's going to work, but I'm just going to start. I'm going to start somewhere and start my own business. And that's kind of how the birth of the Homegirl Hookup came into play. I know so many talented people. I know jewelry designers, I know wig makers, I know nail technicians, I know clothing designers. And I just thought to myself, you know, my style has been a big part of what I think has been something that people connect to with my social media. I'm very colorful and very bright and very over the top about everything. And not everyone is that way, but some people are. Some people want to be more like that. So I wanted to create and curate a place for people to find things that would embody that spirit, you know? So I reached out to my best friend from childhood, who was a jewelry designer. And I was like, can I carry some of your stuff in my store? And I reached out to my friend, who was the first girl who ever asked me to do music with her, as I mentioned earlier. And she she does wigs, braided wigs, dreadlocks, all these other really cool, unique things.
In the video?
So these are some wigs that she has available, but she's more focused on braiding, which is like what you would see here. And as well as the beauty aspect, the jewelry aspect, I also have worked with a clothing company personally. And she doesn't know this yet, but I would like to become a wholesale client of the company that I work with for clothing as well, because I just want to take all the things that I love and curate them in a place and give people an opportunity to see them together. And the reason I like to do it this way is because I have skills and I want to bring things to the table, but so many others out there do too. And so that's kind of what the Homegirl Hookup is really all about, is creating a community of artists and creators that want to stand together and support each other, because there's room for everybody. We know that now through social media, because obviously you see, like, look at how many people have millions of followers who, these are just everyday people, realistically, social media influencers a lot of the time. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey.
You're doing that. And also that it's amazing that it's on Etsy. I love using Etsy, and Etsy is that place where, in my opinion, it's better than eBay, you know, because you can find some really good products from trusted people like yourself, trusted vendors, and I could see the products you have behind you. And so it has, like, it does.
This is an item. I'm wearing some of the jewelry from the brand. But This is Ramona Ray jewelry, sold at the Homegirl Hookup.
So if I wanted to go to your store, I could just Google Homegirl Hookup, and then I just click on the Etsy pop-up, right?
Yeah. I have an Instagram at the Homegirl Hookup, and all of our links are available through there as well. But yeah, you know, I will eventually grow into a Shopify. I feel like Etsy is a really incredible platform for people that are handcrafted. And so, you know, I'm experimenting. That's what this whole thing is. Everything that we do nowadays is an experiment. I mean, without even getting too far into it, I think all the time about meta and VR and the world that we're going to. Oh my gosh, like, this is like when we were little girls and we were watching movies about science fiction. It's like, this is now, this is real. And you need to be willing to grow with it and evolve with it, which has definitely been a big part of my journey, because it can almost lead the way for you. And because that's happening, I think it's important for people to stay really conscious of what they actually want. You know, what are you really trying to do with your social media? Are you trying to connect to other people? Because that's really why I was in the beginning. I'm a mixed up personality. I'm very introverted, but at the same time, I'm super open and I want to connect with people. And music was that for me in the beginning. You know, growing up, you heard a song and somebody they put those feelings so well into words, and you're like, that's me. That's how I feel. You get me. And I think that that's what social media has done for people, is it's given everybody that voice and that opportunity to try to connect with other people. And I'm early on, years ago, back when I was touring, I even made an email. You've got a friend in Charlie at Gmail, because I was like, there's just people out there who need to talk to somebody, you know? And I've met a couple influencers recently. I interviewed a girl on my podcast for Plug Play on Playtime, and she's a cannabis influencer. She's super sweet, and she's from San Diego. And off camera, I asked her, like, so why'd you get into social media? And she said, because I didn't have any friends.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, it hit me in a different way, because again, I started out we were on MySpace, and then it just evolved, and the next thing came, and the next thing came. You didn't set out to become famous or set out to become an influencer. Whereas young people now, it's different. They are aware of the fact that these careers exist. They are careers. We don't have to quote them, but that these job opportunities exist. And so I think it changes the way that they approach life a little bit. But it was a beautiful thing to think, like, man, that girl felt like she needed community and connection. And so she started a YouTube channel and she just started talking to her camera, and she built a community for herself of friends and followers. And it's a beautiful thing. I think that there are a lot of people who might be using social media for that benefit of connection. And then during COVID, obviously, and everything that's happened over the last couple of years, I mean, thank goodness that we have the opportunity to do things like this, you know, a video call. Yeah.
Because I remember
Changed everything.
Zoom came out, you know, during the pandemic, people were just kind of like, they didn't think it would keep going like this, you know, that we would
Right.
go back to normal, you know, because I've interviewed you on other podcasts that I've had where you would come meet me in the studio.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, with Los Angeles traffic being as chaotic as it is, even still now, this is easy because you're in North Hollywood. I'm in Orange County. I'm sometimes in LA, but still it's just like the traffic, and then it's like the scheduling and this, and now our culture is all about convenience. Convenience is a #1 money maker, you know?
Absolutely.
So this is convenient. Zoom stocks are skyrocketing as always.
Yeah, thanks to us. Yeah, and that's actually interesting too, because convenience factor, that's probably another thing that inspired the Homegirl hookup, because here in North Hollywood, we got this little hood shop that, and I've always had a shop like this around my home where I was living, you know, my whole life, that just has a little bit of everything. It has some cool clothes. It's got some cool accessories. It got some bags in there, some shoes in there. They got eyelashes in the front. They got all sorts of funny things, but it's like I can go into that store and I can walk out and feel like I'm like decked out head to toe. I have everything I need. And that is, again, what I was trying to create with the Homegirl hookup, an opportunity, you know, for someone from anywhere in the world to be able to walk into that one-stop shop and be like, all right, I'm gonna get all the cool swaggy things that I need and be on my way. And yeah, again, I can't say that I don't think that I would have even had the courage to start my online store if we hadn't all had to transition after the original lockdown. I was a dancer. I think that the hardest thing about what has happened for me is not being able to go into public and dance anymore. I mean, I have the opportunity to, but it's my personal choice. I think that it's just the smarter thing to do for me to keep that kind of interaction down to a minimum at this point in my life. But it actually gave me the opportunity to transition some of that stuff into digital content. So instead of dancing in the nightclubs anymore, I started dancing at home and filming it. And, you know, people always, I was lucky enough to have people always say, oh man, I wish I could come to a club and see you dance, or I wish I could see you at a concert. You know, I wish you would come to my town. And now I can, and now I do. And I missed the public interaction, but I'm so grateful that I have this platform to still be able to share. Yeah.
I remember seeing you dance at the LMFAO concert because we've been friends even then. And I would go, and it would be a group of us, and we would have like the best seats in the house, and we would be cheering you guys on. And you were amazing. Like, you were dancing for hours. And this was at like pretty big time places like Staples Center, which is now called crypto.com, but you would be in the crypto.com dancing in front of like what, 3,000 people maybe? How many people?
Yeah, we were sold out at the Staples Center, and that's my home venue. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. I can't believe this is happening.
Yes, and that was your home venue. And I mean, you did amazing. You and everybody, so much energy. So you definitely have a lot of fans from being a dancer in LMFAO.
Yes.
You were also in their music videos. You were also the cover girl of their album.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. And again, these are all things that I just, you know, I never set out to do them. So it was a beautiful thing for my career to kind of unfold the way that it did organically. And I know that it doesn't happen that way for everyone, but I think that we were also doing something for the first time, you know, and people are a little bit more familiar with how this whole process works. But social media, obviously, it's shown you that there have been plenty of artists that have come up kind of out of nowhere and been able to go viral. And it makes a huge difference. People get, you know, beautiful record deals off of it, or even if they don't get signed, they get to share their art and their craft with the world. And it's just, as a creator, it's very, very satisfying to be able to share. And the only thing that I think that everyone has to remind themselves of is that the amount of engagement that you get back does not quantify your talent, you know, and I have to constantly remind myself of that, because I think I'm going through probably one of the most challenging things I could have decided to embark upon with social media, and that's changing my demographic. I think that everything, just to be transparent about the whole thing, my demographic is about 78% men. And obviously I was a dancer, I was a model, I have a presence that I'm not surprised that would be the demographic that would gravitate towards me. But the reality of it is I'm also a woman. I'm in my mid-30s. I would like to become a mother soon. I would like to explore all these other parts of my life, and I want to be able to share that with people. But what I've been running into is this challenge that I face, where I want to share content that's not exactly what people are looking to see on my page. And every day gets a little better and a little easier, but it has definitely been one of those things that kind of makes you step back and question everything, because you feel pressure to put out content that people are going to engage with, because let's be honest, if you're doing this to build your brand and you're not getting engagement, it's very discouraging. So you have to kind of find that balance. And then at the same time, you have to stay committed to what you want and what you're trying to accomplish, because I realize that if I post a sexy modeling picture, I'm going to get a lot more engagement. And I don't mind doing it. I love modeling. That's why I model. I love the photos. I feel good about them. I want to share them with the world, but they are so surface and so small, such a small part of what I do, that it can get really discouraging for me. And I do take long breaks from social media for these reasons. I've actually just recently become a huge fan of focus mode on my iPhone. Okay. I had to get these notifications kind of out of the frontal lobe, on constantly just looking at everything flowing and constantly wondering, like, who's liking it, who's doing this. And you don't even consciously set out to be thinking about those things, but it just starts to happen organically. And you don't want to find yourself questioning who you are because people don't like the posts. And so, I think
sometimes they just don't like it, but you know how you can go into your insights?
Yes, of course. You can see how many people you're actually reaching.
Yeah. 6,000, it's like 1,000 likes, but also I think it's interesting to go into what you're saying with social media. When you're selling products, what I've noticed, it does take time. So let's say your first quarter, people do get discouraged. Within those 3 months, they're like, man, I didn't sell anything. But you have to be patient, because eventually you're selling, as long as you're consistent. Yeah. But sometimes even on social media, just because you don't have a lot of followers or you don't have a lot of likes or comments, you might still be selling. With one of my clients that I do marketing with, Alien Fresh Jerky, they don't have a big social media presence on Facebook or on Instagram, but that store is always full.
I'm in there every time I drive by.
Anyone that's listening, don't be discouraged. Like, there's still people watching and listening, and they will get curious and they will stop by. Just be patient. But
absolutely,
metaverse, you never know. What if Instagram is going to be something of like, oh, that's so old school, and now it's going to be just, with Oculus goggles, and it's going to be a whole type of realm of connecting with people. So absolutely, you never know where everything's going to go, especially with online shopping. Amazon might be like the old Walmart, and there might be a whole new like Oculus thing where you verbally just say, I want this or that, and it just gets delivered. We just don't know. There's so many innovators that work at, now it's metaverse versus Facebook, but there's so many innovators that work there. Who knows? There's so many things that are changing. There's always a good and a bad. So we just have to be awake and understand what we want for ourselves, for our future. I love what you're doing. And I love that you're staying with your artistic self, colorful. You're an artist, you're a dancer, you're a musician, you're a singer, you're an artist. But I also love that you want to change it up a bit and change your social media followers. And I get it. I'm kind of in that same process as well.
Yeah. And it's because, again, it's their challenges, but it's not something that's ever going to stop me, because what's exciting about it is that I've actually reinvigorated my passion for learning more about social media, for digging into how do I connect with this new idea that I have. I think that as creators, the fact of the matter is that this is something that Sky told me from LMFAO, and it stuck with me forever. And that's creativity is a fountain, and it's overflowing, but it's constantly replenishing. And so you don't need to be afraid that you're going to blow your load and put it all out there and not have anything left to offer everyone. And so I've kept that in mind throughout. I've tried to, I've had a couple of people make cracks about like, oh, you're a Jane of all trades. You just do everything all the time. And it's like, yeah, I'm interested in a lot of things. So I just pursue them. And I find I go as far with them as I can. And some of them, it doesn't necessarily work out. And other things, it goes really, really well. I definitely did a lot of research in terms of how to advertise my Etsy shop and how to increase traffic through SEOs and through the right tags, and finding out that there's other sites that are supplemental that can kind of help you narrow down your listings and improve them. And, I spent a lot of time doing that kind of stuff recently. During the lockdown, I said, forget it, I'm gonna go to school. And I signed up for graphics online, started learning graphics. It was like, the thing for me is like, the internet gives you a platform to learn constantly, and you have to continue to educate yourself and grow if you want to see something new going on in your life. And so I'm so grateful for everything that social media has to offer me, because I'm a sponge. I go in there and I look at another influencer, I look at another brand, I try to model myself after them and what they're doing a little bit. And so I don't think that I would even be able to be doing these things if I didn't have access to all this free information that's there. This is the age of Aquarius. That's what the internet did for us. It just provided us this, the world is so small now because we have access to everything. So it's exciting. It can be scary at times, obviously, because it is all brand new. But yeah, my new and revived energy for tackling social media has been really refreshing. And that has come from me just saying, you know what, maybe posting all the modeling photos and all that other stuff was great, but it's like, it kind of reached not the end of its lifespan, but it just got to a place where it wasn't serving me the same way anymore. And that was the perfect transition for me to take what I've done, all of the skills.
And going back with the social media and how people assume like, having all these likes make you wealthy, it actually doesn't. It's very saturated at the moment. And what a lot of these influencers do, they make money from booking outside jobs, or they make money from selling products, exactly what you're doing with your Etsy account. And that's what they're, generating an income. So when people are like, oh, they're making $1 million on TikTok, well, it's not TikTok necessarily that's
right.
giving them a check. Maybe it was Coca-Cola that discovered them, or it could be just something as small as a store in their local city that might have hired them, paying them X amount of money a month to post. So everyone that's trying to get into like the TikTok game or the Instagram game, just, be an entrepreneur, just have that mindset and just realize it's all about the brands you're working with. And like I said, there's always good and bad. So with that being said, don't say yes to everybody, because what if you end up in a weird situation where it's some creeper? So be careful.
Every little thing you learn is just another tool in the toolbox. And that's what I think I am. I'm the type of person who just kind of went out into the world, had no idea what I was trying to accomplish, but I just stepped into everything I did with integrity and with a learning mindset. And yeah, I've walked away from everything going, oh my gosh, I know that much more now. And it just increases your confidence and your belief in yourself, and knowing that that's all you really have to do. You just put it out there and you work hard at something, and you will see growth and you will see success. And then when something doesn't serve you, you can let it go and you can move on to the next thing.
Yeah, very true. Well, thank you so very much, Charlie, for your time during this casual interview. But I love how Zoom allows us to do this. And
absolutely.
I'm proud of you because you've always been a hustler. You've always been working so hard. And I think your shop is going to do great. So for anybody that's listening on the audio version of this, so Charlie, let us know all the handles for your Etsy shop and your social media.
Yeah, so you can find me at Miss Charlie Pearl on pretty much any platform. And then my shop is available on Instagram at The Homegirl Hookup. And then you can find us through searching Etsy, The Homegirl Hookup Shop. And yeah, I think that, Plug Play, my Plug Play YouTube show is a lot of fun. It's a game show, so it's just something fun, mindless. You get to turn it off, laugh, have a good time, follow along with the funny things that we do. And yeah, I want to bring a little light to everybody's life. I hope, you know, when you go on social media, I want you to feel better about yourself when you get off. And that's one thing that I think we all need to be more conscious of. You know, it's about building a healthy and happy community of people, building each other up. You know, that's the only reason why I'm still out here, because, you know, I have had a lot of community support, a lot of support from my fans and my friends, and that's really what it's all about, just connecting with everybody.
Yes, no, very much so. Well, thank you so much. And for everyone that's tuning in, I'm also going to have her list of social media links and her Etsy link here in the link in the bio. So thank you so much, everyone. I'm Yenitza Munoz, and you're watching Rebel Influencer here on the Hidden Millions podcast. Till next time, Charlie. Bye.